Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. I know it's not the normal scene, but your boy got COVID and been feeling terrible. But my friend Brandon is on and he's been just cracking me up and making me feel better. And we decided to make a video.
Right.
Honestly, this video has been planned, but Brandon and I being such good friends and him also working in the healthcare industry has been very, very helpful as I am getting hydrated and just trying to recuperate here. So y'all bear with me. I'm gonna have Brandon do a lot of talking on this video. But Brandon is here from the San Antonio area, does so much work, recruiting rivals, writing up articles, covers UTSA, covers San Antonio recruiting, covers Central Texas recruiting. So Brandon Holland, welcome to the show, brother.
Hey man, thank you so much. I'm glad we finally got a chance to link up and do something official with UTSA taking on Texas this upcoming weekend.
Absolutely. And I also have to mention you have a podcast along the wire as well. So
Yeah.
we
So
so much
that's
to
what
plug.
the chain
Oh
is,
wow, I got the chain up.
along the wire. Yeah, I've been covering San Antonio athletes here for the last 6 years, and I mean, just to give a little background, I guess started off at Horns 247 with EJ Holland and Mike Roach, by way of Coach Herman in Orlando being able to hook me up over there and get me started. So I will always be appreciative for that. And then hooking up with Javi Cardenas over here at birdsup.com, and our other staff writer Stephen Whitaker as well. Some great guys on the team right now, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
Guys, before we jump into the discussion, because Brandon is going to be one of our experts here on breaking down this UTSA Roadrunner team, coached by Jeff Traylor, who we all are very, very familiar with, as well as breaking down Texas, because Brandon is extremely familiar with the Texas Longhorns as well. So he's going to give us a very unique perspective here. I also want to give a shout out to our sponsor, BUSR, busr.com/fanatic, the official sponsor, the official sports book, the official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. Guys, amazing 24/7 customer service, amazing week one in the NFL that we had. So many of the lines I gave out and things we took advantage of hit. It's not going to be like that every week. For those of you who are really good in the college football landscape, we have A&M Miami, some decent get OU Nebraska, Texas UTSA. So if you want to take advantage of those lines, if you think Nick Saban's going to drop 70 on ULM out of frustration, that line is minus 49 right now. And Nick Saban said in his opening press conference, I remember what happened in 2007. That sounds like somebody, do with that information what you will. But if you guys are looking to put some money down on something, hit up busr.com/fanatic. Take advantage of the promo code sports100FP, 100% free play match on all initial deposits within the first 24 hours. Hit up busr.com/fanatic. Brandon, my first question to you, knowing what this UTSA team is, you guys are 1-1 coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody knows the magical season that y'all had last year, but I feel like a lot of Texas fans are there's two camps of Texas fans with this game. There's a camp that says, hey, we have some injuries with our quarterback position, some uncertainties, things are banged up. We have a lot of respect for UTSA. We've looked at this as a trap game. We should be very concerned on Saturday night. I feel like there's another camp that says, well, if y'all can do what you did against Bama, then we should have no concerns against UTSA, regardless of the quarterback situation, because Texas should just simply out-talent UTSA and win comfortably. Is the latter of that take justifiable or not, and why?
It's understandable from a pure fan point of view, but I guarantee you that that the coaching staff at Texas 100% understands that that the team that they are going in to face, no one in that locker room has that mindset at all. And at the end of the day, that's what matters, because they understand that when they line up out there, given who they have, they also have to understand who they're going up against. And and while it is the players' game, as Coach Traylor also says, those players at UTSA have been developed and are of an ilk in which they will not underestimate Texas, regardless of who's at quarterback or what they are going through themselves. That's the triangle of toughness.
You know what's interesting, and I've talked about this before, I feel like a lot of these UTSA kids, I mean, there's also a sense of comfort because there's going to be familiarity with certain guys, whether it's the same region they came from, whether some of them either went attending the same high school or playing against each other in high school. I always feel that, you know, granted, there's times where there's a justification of talent gaps, like, you know, when we face UTEP or something like that. But just with how good UTSA has been against good competition, I mean, opening against Houston and Army and then going to Texas, that is no joke of a schedule.
Right. And so, like, not to cut you off, but while I have this thought,
no, go ahead.
It's kind of in preparation for playing Texas. You know, when I'm thinking about it, you've got the University of Houston. That is I don't want to say a step up, but that is a opponent that's going to keep your attention. Then you have Army that plays a certain style of game. So it's like you're sharpening different weapons in preparation for the season and getting into your conference play. So now it's Texas. You have a style that you win against an Army, and you have a foe in Houston that is semi-rival, and now you have Texas, which is a huge task. You know, I don't think it's going to be understated that this is the biggest opponent that this program has faced. You know, given it's right up the road, it's the University of Texas. No matter whoever's been scheduled in the past, this is the game that fans have always wanted to see. And and I think that the preparation for this game is not taken lightly at all. And I think that this is going to be it's going to be a dogfight, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, I mean, you also have the gigantic city of San Antonio that already feels a certain type of way about Austin because they feel like they're trying to steal the Spurs. And that's a whole nother, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Right.
So that's a whole nother, there's a whole nother energy playing there. But in regards to this football game, I know you and I beforehand were talking about the advantages, the perceived advantages for Texas being physicality in the trenches.
Right.
Texas so far through 2 games has played up to their ability with their size. I would say on both ends. I mean, the offensive line hasn't been spectacular, but for a young group and a lot of guys that are starting for the first time, I feel as though they've played as well as they could for a young group.
Right.
Defensive line has played very well so far, and they're playing up to their potential with size. And I think a lot of people are pinpointing that particular aspect of, hey, well, Texas is going to be able to wear down UTSA. Do you want to speak to kind of the countermeasures, some things you guys have going on to that Traylor will look to address that?
Exactly. And the player that I was speaking about who made me think of this term is our linebacker, Jamal Ligon. So it was posed to him exactly how you said, you know, the difference being in the trenches in Texas is going to be a big team. But he was the first one to say it. Hey, you know, yes, we understand that they're going to be large guys, big body people out there, but we're going to lean into our techniques and trust our coaching, because there's nothing that we can do about the size of them, but we can control how we play and trust our coaching and lean on our techniques. So I think that that's going to be something that is through and through throughout the entire squad. And there's a resolve there. And I know that the coaches love hearing that. And I think given UTSA's track record, that that's not going to be something that I think is going to be taken lightly at all. And with him saying that, it kind of made me think of like the whole boxing adage of having fast hands, but yet timing can beat speed. I think that precision can beat power. And that made me think of that because, you know, as big as someone can be, if you are technically sound and you are precise with your hand placement and your foot movement and your foot placement and understanding what you're supposed to be doing, everything will take care of itself outside of that. And I think that UTSA coach Traylor and everybody on staff has embedded that and burned it into every single player on that squad.
Talk to me about the leader of this team, the kind of the marquee player, Frank Harris, who has just continued from watch him a lot over the years, but he's just gotten better. And one of the things I see, you know, I kind of commented on with Bryce Young last week, with those are guys that with the game just looks a little slower for them in a positive way. Like things are going in slow motion, they can react just because they see everything unfolding around them. I see some of those qualities with Frank as a dual threat quarterback. Where do you think he can potentially have success against Texas?
I think he's gonna have success against anybody who tells him that he can't do something. So whenever he hears that, it's challenge accepted. This was a kid who came in who was known as not the greatest thrower of a football, who now the last 3 years has improved his passing percentage by 2% each year. So going from like 62% to 66 to this season, he's throwing at 68% completions. And he's averaging 349 yards per game and has 6 touchdowns to 1 interception. So that doesn't sound to me like a kid or a young man who can't throw the football. But also he has his legs and he knows how to use both, and he doesn't overuse his legs. And it'll be points in games in which you see and you know his abilities, and it's like, oh man, I would have taken off in this aspect, but he knows the timing in which to use it, because he knows ultimately he wants to throw that football when it comes down to it. And he's answered every challenge. While that 12-2 season last year, everybody was focused on the run game of UTSA. He developed into one of the nation's best passers, and that's continuing to be the case as this season goes. As the UTSA offense is the number 17th passing offense in the country at this time.
It'll be a big test, another big test for our guys. We had a great one last week, but I noticed the young Alabama receivers were rattled last week. Now, where I have concerns regards to Frank in that offense, it seems to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like you've really struggled to run the football, especially, we know you had an all-world runner there before, McCormick.
Right.
And right now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Frank is the one leading the team in rushing.
Right.
I think y'all have the transfer from Arkansas there
Traylor
too.
Smith,
Yeah, who played against us last year. But I don't know if you guys can get away for 4 quarters playing just all Frank Harris type football. Like there has to be some sort of element of run. And I haven't really seen that from UTSA. So
and shout out to Texas Homer, because
my guy.
for all Texas fans, make sure y'all go check out the video in which he broke down UTSA and Texas.
I'll link
And
it below. Yeah.
and he spoke facts. He spoke facts and did very good comparisons, and actually broke this game down to where we shouldn't even be doing this interview. but but no, I think that you're 100% correct. You know, while the run game hasn't been there, I think that Frank has developed, and Coach Stein will have a Coach Will Stein, who also coached Hudson Card in high school.
Yeah. And he was at Texas wasn't he under the Charlie Strong staff way back when, I think.
Right.
He's back with Louisville. Will Stein's been around.
So I think that they're gonna have a scheme and a plan that's gonna, while you definitely have to have Frank Harris involved, how Texas Homer said it perfectly was Texas has a quick UTSA. UTSA has a quick pass game that they can go to, that they often use to get Frank into a rhythm and to get the offense in a rhythm as well. So it's not necessarily that they're going to be dropping back, throwing 12, 15, 20 yards downfield bombing, but Cephas is an excellent route runner, and so is Clark. And those are guys that they're going to be using to see exactly what they can get after getting that short pass. So I think it's going to be a task in which Frank's going to have to be able to get the ball out and into his weapons. Traylon Smith out the backfield. Brendan Brady, another kid from the San Antonio area as well, who was very well versed in that offense. So it's gonna be more than Frank, but he is gonna be the head figure of how UTSA wins this game.
I do think with the UTSA was in 2 back-to-back just all-out wars with
Right.
Houston and Army. And so from a standpoint, I think the negative of that for UTSA is you guys are beat up, especially in the trenches. There's some injuries and things of that sort. There's that.
True.
I think a positive is somebody like Frank being so in tune with his pass catchers, and gotten off to such a great start. I don't think we'll see the same challenges we even saw from Bryce Young and his pass catchers, who were young, inexperienced, first road game, not really
Right.
ready for that type of atmosphere, quite frankly.
Right.
I don't expect Frank and those guys to have the same issues. I think, to me, because I want to get into kind of more matchups now.
Mm-hmm.
For me, one of the big matchups here is, can my front hold up against quick pass game? Because it can be a little frustrating for the big guys.
Right.
They don't get home or don't get pressure because the ball's coming out so quick. But B, some of my younger guys might be asked to play, especially with, we played a lot of Austin Jordan last week. We played a lot of Jameer Johnson played essentially, majority of the second half snaps after Deshaun Jameson went down. So with a lot of young guys in coverage against guys that are tuned up and have been through wars already, I think that's a key matchup I'm looking for from a Texas standpoint. What are some matchups that you're looking at or excited to see? Because you, like I said, you're very, very well versed on Texas football. And so our roster and what we do very well.
So the funny thing is like, I'm looking forward to seeing the same thing that you are, because while you have a Texas, and I've been trying to think of ways to word this, you have a Texas defensive line going up against a banged up UTSA line who actually is down 4 tackles, and they're going to have to use true freshmen during the game, just as Texas is. I understand, but when you're down, it's a difference when you have that expectation of that freshman coming in and playing as Texas does.
Right.
And so when you're down to your third, fourth string tackle, who you were planning on redshirt, and you might have to burn through that red shirt coming up in the first couple of weeks of the season because attrition happens, right? So you have an offensive line at UTSA who is banding together, and going back to your point on Frank and using that and him winning or being the main point of UTSA's offense, he's going to understand what that line can and can't do from the jump. So I think that that's going to be something that, while it's extra on him, you're glad that you have a senior quarterback who understands his offensive line, right? But now you have a Texas defensive line who has performed underwhelmingly the past couple of years. But coming up after this Bama game, there's an expectation now. You see Coburn coming through, causing pressure in the center. You see Sweat is now making moves. Collins, Broughton, so now are they going to continue that? Does the fact that UTSA is banged up, are they going to continue that pressure? There's a point now where Texas fans are like, okay, this defensive line should continue that Bama game. And like we were talking off screen earlier, I think that there's a resolve and understanding of just going through and being tested and tried that UTSA has, that Texas coaches and their fans are wanting to see. Everything that they are hoping that their team could be and fight through, road runners already have that. So that's why I think that this is a matchup to where that mental part of the game advantages UTSA.
That's what Texas has to prove.
Right.
Until we see it, because I'll be honest with you, Brandon, everything you're saying sounds great, but if Texas does show up with the same intensity that they quite frankly showed in the ULM game, and they were like they've shown it, they've had 2 weeks,
right?
They've shown it 2 weeks,
right?
If this is something where it is now consistent, which to your point, the whole reason why Texas is thought of the way they are is because there is no consistency. Mm-hmm. So that is the key thing. And that's, like you said, it's a mentality. So if they go out there with the appetite to dominate, we can talk about technique and coaching and all that. UTSA is going to get overwhelmed over the course of the game if Texas brings that type of energy.
It's going to be a long day.
It'll be a long day.
Exactly how it was for Bama. When a focused Texas squad of the talent that they have is focused and they're going, it's a long day for anybody in the country. And that's not going to go understated. It's just the fact that you got to do it.
Right.
You got to do it. And actually, like, just with the injuries on both sides. So what, Texas is down Jameson. So that's gonna be putting a lot more pressure on the young defensive backs. Austin Jordan, Jade Barron,
Jameer Johnson.
Yeah, and exactly how you said. They're going up against a trio of receivers who all had over 750 yards receiving. They all have double-digit catches this year, and they know how to run on busted plays with their quarterback. They are a team of elite receivers, and it's not going to be so much of that's a better group than what Bama had. They're better at playing a team game than what Bama was able to put together. And they have a understanding of that offense and concepts that I think is going to be interesting against that young secondary that Texas has. And that's one of the matchups that I definitely want to see. But will Frank have that time? Because if Texas is getting pressure with that front four, then there's not going to be much that can be done.
Yeah, and we keep it one-dimensional. I mean, there's a lot on Frank's plate in this game. There's no doubt about it. I think he has a lot of respect.
Three-man front.
But there's there's a lot on Frank's plate. How do you view the Texas quarterback situation and the uncertainty there? Or are you not like what's your read on that whole
If it is Charles White, then I'm expecting UTSA to use a bevy of multiple fronts, exactly how they did versus Army. 4 and 5-man fronts. Make this kid see stuff that make him see anything because he hasn't seen anything. But while UTSA is also getting prepped for the Wildcat, you're gonna have to be able to get ready for anything because Roschon Johnson, while people may forget, he was a quarterback.
Jeff Traylor has gone out of his way to mention that quite a few times. So it sounds like they've been studying the Kansas State tape heavily. I wouldn't be surprised, because we showed wrinkles of this in the Alabama game, especially going back and watching the tape. They're going to study some of the go-go stuff too. I think you'll see them. I think because Texas is trying to incorporate some of that in there, especially with some of the injuries that they know Roschon can do with Keelan and let's say Bijan in the backfield or Jonathan Brooks or whoever. I think the key or the trigger man in that situation though is still going to be Roschon Johnson.
Right.
And so hearing Jeff Traylor say his name so over and over and over again is a key for me.
And exactly how I was saying and getting prepped for Texas, unknowingly, you faced the triple option.
Yeah.
And now you're in a situation in Texas where you're going to be running sets that, okay, we had this last week. Okay, so let's see exactly what they can do with it, because Army wasn't just running the ball in Texas. I mean, on UTSA. So, they did their damage by air, and that's setting up off the run game.
But I mean, and granted, you're right. But I mean, it seems like that's unusual amount of damage for Army to put forth in the air. Is that not a concern for you?
It is a concern because the big play has been an issue against UTSA, period. Because while they were more focused, it's one of those things in which Army is able to slip a tight end back or a receiver out, and you're so focused on the run that this dude looks natural in what's and like what he's doing, then all of a sudden he's 25 yards downfield.
Yep. You think he's engaged on a block. Yeah. You're playing
how did that
keep
happen?
Man, and the other guy's got pitch man. And
Right.
next thing you know, it's like, well, I didn't know he was releasing.
Exactly. So the big play is going to be an issue versus Texas, but then also if it's not, especially if it's not Hudson Card back there, is that what is the big play for Texas versus UTSA? What's it going to look like if your big arm quarterback isn't back there? It's going to have to come from the run game, and you're already going to have that box filled up, 8-man front against a squad that plays the run very well. And then once again, like I said, and like we said at the beginning of this conversation, it's going to come down to the trenches and size and technique and being responsible in what you're supposed to do. And it just keeps on coming back full circle, right? Like, it's just like the issues and that both of these squads have kind of line up perfectly into what the other needs to work on. So that's why I think that this game is going to be just a really good one.
How do you foresee the game playing out?
How I foresee this game playing out, I'll give you 2 versions, 3 actually.
Oh, he's giving us the multiverse breakdown, y'all.
Exactly.
Y'all see this? This is a smart man right here. This is hedging. Classic Brandon move right here. Well, I'll give you 3 different scenarios. You do this every time I ask you a question, even when we're texting. I'll give you. If Spider-Man goes this way and Doctor Strange does this, then XYZ can occur.
I'm covering.
Go ahead, Brandon. I just had to give you a tough time about that.
Because because I mean, down here in San Antonio, people who like follow my stuff, I'm gonna be honest. I can't be anything but that because I don't care a lot. So if Quinn was in this game, I had the prediction of 52-21 if Quinn's in this game. With Hudson being at quarterback, I went down to 42-21, but I saw 37-21 Texas. With it being right, or the possibility of Roshan being in there, I think that Texas defense is going to be ears pinned back and focus. And I feel like it's going to be 30-21 Texas. 30-21 Texas.
Cool.
And I think that one of the matchups here that can't be understated is the Traylor versus Sark matchup, because he does study Sark as well, as he said before. He takes stuff from him, but Traylor's never looked outmatched and outcoached at all. So that's one of the things that I know that this squad is going to be ready. And while I don't necessarily foresee a victory, I foresee a fight, and it's gonna be good. And I think that both teams are going to be better after this.
So, and I appreciate your, your breakdown. My prediction for this, assuming it's some, even if Hudson Card is right now, he's super questionable.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's knowing what I've seen, even from the initial game plan we had with Quinn, and some of the safer things we can do and still being able to run the football, things of that sort, I do think it's going to be scaled down. I expect this game to be tight, physical, competitive. I think it's going to be emotional for 2, maybe 2.5 quarters. I think if this was last year and you guys had McCormick and y'all had a healthier offensive line where you could have that pass run element,
right?
I think this is a game where it's like, oh, we are really, really in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
My prediction is based on what you just said of guys pinning their ear back. My prediction is based upon Texas being grown-ups on defense and giving me now 3 weeks of good effort, flying to the ball, playing technically sound, keeping the penalties down, and just keeping the party going, and understanding that you're kind of playing a one-dimensional offense in UTSA this week. As good as Frank Harris is, as good as these pass catchers are, and as much as they do, it's really a one-dimensional attack with a lot to take advantage of. So I think we can probably manipulate a score either on defense or special teams, as our boy Homer pointed out with Frank Harris's.
Don't do this.
You don't want me to bring it up, but he's going to put one on the ground.
Oh, man.
Frank's going to put one on the ground, and we're going to get it. So, I mean, you just go ahead and chalk one up that he's going to fumble. As good as he is, the tendency is there. So with that being said, because I've drawn this out forever, I'm going to go 34-17 Texas.
Okay.
Which means Texas would cover. I think it's -15 right now.
Is it now? The last line I saw was 11.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll fact check that. I thought it was 15.
We got to check the BUSR. Yeah.
There you go. My man.
Actually, I'll say this too. I would not have my BUSR account if it weren't for Fanatic Perspective.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you. Because hey, how you feeling this week? Let's end off here on something fun that we can find common ground on. How you feeling about A&M Miami?
Oh man, I really hadn't been able to think about A&M football.
You mean they got a lot of stuff happening off the field right now? Can't get focused.
That's.
Are you concerned?
Honestly, honestly, my heart and everything is pulling for Miami due to my Texas fandom. So I hope Jalen Jones balls out, has a couple interceptions, and I want Evan Stewart's to finally break that 100-yard mark if Jimbo will oblige him. Let's see what else.
Is Max Johnson going to play?
Yes.
He has to play at this point. I mean,
yes.
We can't keep this Haynes King.
Yeah, Haynes Prince. Haynes Prince. Yeah, it's time. We got to see something different. That was something I hadn't agreed with that since. Man, there were so many. A&M did what A&M does, okay, and I'm pulling for the U. Ain't no time, ain't no time to pull punches. Hey, lose A&M. Sorry,
A&M.
Let's go U. It's at Kyle Field too, right?
Yep.
I need to see that yell practice thing before the game too. I got to see what they say.
They're not going to wipe it off of the internet like they did the other one, right? Against App State. They got it.
They're doing a great job of that. As a matter of fact. They're doing a great job of that. I'm not here to make fun of Jimbo Fisher.
His record makes fun of itself. Oh boy. Oh
hey,
boy.
Hey.
Hey, all's love out there. I know y'all are going through it. We've been going through it for many years. So
I'm about to go to North Carolina myself right now.
My thing is, when you recognize, when you've been through so much dysfunction, you're able to recognize it right away. That's how I knew right away Nebraska was on fire, right? Like I knew the milk had gone bad right away because I've seen
it. Frost is melted.
Oh my God, I've seen it. And it's sad because people over there got hope, expectations, but you're looking at it and you're like, I've seen this in my program. It's the same. Right? All the symptoms are there. Y'all are done. You don't even realize it. You're done. Exactly. You're cooked. It's over.
Exactly.
You shouldn't have any hope. You need to start over right now, as a matter of fact. Because we had to, we've been through it. That's the only reason why I can say what I'm saying.
True. Very true.
Like on some real, young boys over here going to play receiver, Evan Stewart and all that. I don't feel bad for y'all. Y'all made that. Y'all knew what the offense was. But I mean, you want to chase the bag, bro. But you knew what the system was. This isn't a secret.
So I'm trying to think of a way to say this.
Uh-oh.
It's wherever you feel like home is at, right? You've got to understand what that home was built on. And you weren't the first tenant to be in that house. So if you can go back and look and make your own decisions and be good with living in that house, and you can walk out like the others who walked out of that house, and you're good with that, then make your address that house.
Damn, that was like an old Negro spiritual right there. That was so I gotta write that down.
Hey,
your grandfather dropped that for you? I need to have some more of those in my bag to just drop in moments like this. That was deep. I gotta go back and resonate on that.
I mean, shoot.
Excuse me. Brandon, what do you got to promote? Where can the people find you, brother?
People can find me on Twitter at @bdamone. Find me on Instagram at Along the Wire. Find me at birdsup.com. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification so that y'all can be up to date on everything going on at UTSA. Shout out to Javi Cardenas again and Stephen Whitaker and all of our great staff. we have better staff than a lot of P5 schools. So make sure you follow us, and not to separate the P5 from the G5, but first class is what it is. So make sure y'all join birdsup.com. And once again, Stephen, thank you so much for allowing me on your platform. And this is a consistent brother, man. And make sure y'all support everything that Stephen does. And hey, I'm anytime you need me, man, you got me.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. And
Yeah.
you've given me so much advice and wisdom, and also been a brother in faith with me over, since I've met you, since I've known you. And you're really, really a true friend and somebody I'm happy to finally get you on the show. And I definitely want to have you on more and tap on you more. But I see the work you do with kids, the reaction and how the kids respond to you. Um, guys that are going all over, the Anthony Evans of the world and some of the best players out of that San Antonio area
Yeah.
that look up to you and really value your opinions and how you guys go out of your way to make sure that these kids are showcased, to make sure that these kids are put in the right positions to meet coaches, to get to the right camps. It's folks like you guys that are the unsung heroes in the recruiting game when it can be very, very nasty. So Brandon, the feeling's mutual. Thank you for coming on, man. Guys, remember, as Brandon said earlier, USR, official sponsor, official sports book, official betting partner, Fanatic Perspective. Hit up busr.com/fanatic. Take advantage of that promo code sports100FP. 100% free play match on all initial deposits within the first 24 hours. We have some fire games coming up in the NFL, in college football this week. So much to take advantage of. If you're looking for a reliable betting partner, 24/7 customer service, just faithful, reliable, especially those of us here in the state of Texas, hit up usr.com/fanatic. Brandon, thank you so much. For my Horns fans out there, Horns always up. Thank you.